Hey, welcome to Wake Up and Dream. We are excited to be here, Sarah Kelly and myself. Today, we're going to tackle a topic that I think our listeners are going to resonate with at their core, and it's called Mama Guilt. Have you ever, how often, maybe that's a better way to word it, how often do you feel mama guilt? Maybe it's because you went out with the girlfriends and left dad and the little ones and took a little time for yourself, and you're actually, while you're trying to enjoy yourself, you're feeling guilty for taking that little time out. Maybe you work full time and it's summer and the kids are home, and maybe they're still have to be in, you know, some sort of camp or daycare, and you're feeling guilty because you could be spending time, or you should be, so you think. So, gals, I know my kids are 18 and above, and so I do have some, but I think it's really, really common when they're elementary, and life just flies by so fast. So, do you guys ever have mama guilt? I mean, am I talking to the choir or what?
Nope, you are not. This is so great. I love this topic because I just like to open up about it and just be honest and vulnerable to our listeners, because I feel like when we do have that mama guilt, we don't want to talk about it. We don't know how to get through it. We don't know who to talk to. We don't know which way to go. Do we not go out with the girlfriends? Do we just, not do anything for ourselves? Do we quit our jobs? Do we, just spend more time with our kids and not our girlfriends? Or, all the things start going through our heads. And for me personally, I feel this mama guilt because we have spent since February, it's now almost the end of July, trying to move our family from Kentucky to Colorado. And there was so much involved with that, with emotions and spiritual connections and friendships and all these things that we had to move through, plus the physical part of it, of packing and unpacking and getting here and finding a new place to live and making sure our son, who is 10, Mr. Jace, just feel a smooth transition. That was sort of the main thing for us. But I can also feel in a way that I forgot, as an Enneagram 9, and that's not a label, it's just a tool to use that I use quite often with my personality, that I forgot about how I was feeling about it. Like, even though I wanted to make sure everybody else, especially our son, was going to, have a good time and, not feel too sad, but then come here to Colorado and just dive into new friends. I didn't want him to be bored or alone. But that was kind of my feeling too. Once I got here, it was like, did I process everything I needed to back in Kentucky? What did I bring here to Colorado? What did I really need to feel like myself, to find my new self here, but then also make sure Jace had a space as well. And then of course my husband, but he's been here a little while longer than us. So he's definitely acclimated, and he just wanted his family here. So I just had to go in truly. And I think I, in a way, just pulled away from people as we left Kentucky. That's how I processed that. And I realized that wasn't too healthy. And that's how I did it when we left Colorado in the first place. So when I got here, I was like, I need connection. I need that to be able to be a good wife, to be a good mom. I wanted connection with our old friends. We've gone on many couples dates. I've met up with some girlfriends for coffee and play dates and pool time, and just reconnecting at church. And I think that's just the most important part. And when I feel, do it more often, you're not going to feel that mama guilt of being with friends or not bringing your kids with you or whatever, because it just becomes part of your routine, right? Like, it's your kids will know that mom needs her time, or and I know Sarah's talked about this too, even with her trip to Italy, like her and her husband, they need this trip for their marriage, and to display that for their boys was super important for them as a couple, but also for the boys. Like, this is, you're modeling for them. And I think if we get into that mindset, that's where it kind of took me, was modeling this for our kids versus feeling guilty about it. Because you know what? They're going to be married one day. They might have children themselves. And if they remember mom and dad, or even if you're a single mom, like just the time that they're with their babysitter or with a grandparent and spending that quality time, not feeling the guilt of drop off, but the refreshment and the just the soul searching that you need as a parent, as a mom, in this case, since we're all women. It's just that example. And I keep reminding myself that as I'm here in Kentucky and finding my new way, that Jace is watching. Jace is watching this whole process. And that's, I think, most important versus just, I mean, I just take mama guilt out completely, because it just fills your soul knowing that you're important, your husband's important, you as a couple, and also your kids, and modeling that for them, I feel like is, I mean, I don't know where that came from, but it just came up as I'm processing it through this whole experience as well. But I think that was such a good lesson, Sarah, that you shared with our listeners too, and how you guys processed your trip.
Yeah, I like that you're talking about your experience. It's such a recent one too, and how it changed over time too. Like you were very aware throughout that entire period about the things that was happening, like with you, with Jace, and just this whole, it's a huge, I can't even wrap my head around a move like that. Like I literally a few years ago moved a quarter mile down the road, quarter mile. I'm not even exaggerating. We walked past my old house, and that was such an emotional and like crazy time in my life that I couldn't imagine doing a move like how you just, you and your family just did, Kelly.
And we did it twice in 2 years with 3 families.
If I ever move, I'm coming to you for all the tips and tricks.
I have them all, the do's and don'ts.
Yeah. But I really I want to come back to the word guilt, because I feel like people feel guilt because they aren't living up to a certain expectation, regardless if that is like on a parenting level, if that is in a marriage. There could be marriage guilt. There could be a guilt in your career if you're not like, I'm not performing as I need to be at this point in my career. All of these different things. And like guilt is such a heavy, heavy word. And it's hard. As you were talking, Kelly, I'm trying to think, and I was actually reflecting back to my trip too, because I feel like since I went away to Italy, I had another girls' trip. I left my kids again, and they were like, "See you later, Mom." And like this past weekend, I went out with a couple girlfriends that were in town, one from Florida, and they were like, "Have fun, Mom." And like they didn't even like, bat an eye, because they're kind of like, "Okay, Mommy has a life. Like this is expected." But where guilt is really coming into play for me this summer in particular is I'm trying very hard to be more present with my friends, with my husband, and with my kids. It's just been a full packed summer. And I feel like in a way, I almost have like reverse mama guilt. Guilt is still there, but I have this like, I should be doing more. I should be working towards something bigger, instead of just being comfortable, being present where I am right now. Like being present with the fact that I am hanging out with my kids, hanging out with friends, and doing all of these things, and, doing all these like little trips. Like we were at the beach last week. We did like, I celebrated my husband's 40th birthday last week. Like all of these fun things and these milestones that I should be feeling really good about comes with this layer of guilt to kind of like, muddy the water a little bit, because I feel like I should be doing something more, or something with more like direction. And that's where it's
For
been
sure
very heavy for me.
I think of, when summer starts, we make that to-do list. Like, I'm gonna
Oh, the
I'm gonna
summer bucket
clean the
list.
garage, right? I'm gonna clean the garage. I'm gonna reorganize. I'm gonna take all the clothes to Goodwill or the Salvation Army. I'm gonna, do this project. I'm gonna garden. I'm gonna do all these things. And then it's about this time of year where we're like, oh, I haven't accomplished any of those things on my to-do list or my, summer list. And then we feel guilty. Then we feel like, it is, there's something that happens right about this time of year where we start to feel the pressure to get more done or to, make it happen, whatever that is. And like you spending time intentionally with people, like, why don't we put that on the list? Like, why can't we literally write that on the accomplishment list?
And not feel bad about it. Like,
And
it's like,
not
oh
feel
man, I shouldn't
bad.
go to breakfast with my friends because I should be working on this like massive business goal. Like, no, like where I need to be right now is with people that I love and care about, whether that's my friend, my family, or my children. It doesn't matter. But like me feeling a level of guilt while I'm doing something that really lights me up and is really where I should be in that moment, that kind of stinks. Like I need to like nix that piece of my, paradigm, my noisy roommate telling me that I shouldn't be there when that really is exactly where I need to be. You're right. It should be the top of our list.
But I think it's our culture that is ingraining and indoctrinating us into thinking that we're not valuable if we haven't checked off the boxes in, this area. And over here, this list, I mean, I just rattled off 3-4 things. None of them had to do with people. Right? They were tasks. They were, clean the garage, plant a garden, and, do all the things and gut the closets. I mean, you can see it feels good when you look at your closet and you've eliminated all the stuff that you haven't worn in 3 years that's been hanging around. I might wear that. I might wear that. No, you're not going to wear it. Get rid of it. But none of those over there on that list involved people. And I know, Sarah, you were just sharing how someone close, in your circle just passed away unexpectedly. And you just that really wakes people up. But oftentimes we don't it's sad that we need that to like jar us back into what's important. But we need to do that now because
right? Yes. And
people
being
are
intentional.
where it's at. Mm-hmm.
Being intentional with our time and focusing on what is important. Because we don't know how much time is left. And it is, we always say this journaling and writing things down. And I mean, it might seem tedious for a minute, but for the rest of your summer, like make it intentional. Write down the few things that you still have left, whether it is, cleaning out your closet or calling some friend that you haven't seen all summer because you feel like you're too busy. Like writing down a few things that you want to accomplish by the time the kids go back to school and find the time. Like make it a priority because when you see it on paper, you're going to see the balance with kids, husband, work. And if you want to throw in a new goal by taking, a quilting class or riding your bike more, or like throw those things in. And I feel like the guilt might also come when you're, just flying by the seat of your pants as well. Like if you're more intentional with your time and know that next Saturday, you're meeting a girlfriend for brunch, and then Sunday after church, you're taking the kids to the water park. And then, Monday lunchtime, you're able to meet your husband for a lunch date. And then, then you're going to take the kids over to the neighbors because you've done this mama swap and you're going to go through your closet. Like, look at the things you just accomplished by writing it down, what's important, what you need to do in the next, for us, 2 weeks before school starts. Maybe it's 4 weeks for, another listener, but really writing those things down and not having that mama guilt, like freeing yourself from that heaviness and that unnecessary responsibility that you put on yourself as a mom. But really, I think I want to say, we almost say this every episode, is just be intentional and what you really want, instead of flying by the seat of your pants and comparing yourself to the mom next door who's, doing XYZ camps with their kids and this and that. And they also and that's just, it's not reality for you. Everybody's family's different. Everybody's dynamic's different. Everybody's income is different. Everybody lives in a different place. Be intentional. So that's kind of our challenge to our listeners for the next week. Think about your mama guilt. Is it true? Are you telling yourself lies? Are you really fulfilling yourself with your kids, yourself, your connections, your friendships? And write some things down. Write what's truly important. Get connected. Start that new class. Do it for you, because you will then, just become this new person. And like Sarah, your kids will be like, okay, bye, mom. Have fun. Like, they'll expect it. And my son does that too. Like, when my parents watch him, it's like, okay, see you later. Barely even says goodbye to me, because this is the norm. And so we encourage our listeners to do that for this next week, and just really tap into your truth and your goals and what you really want your life to look like moving forward as we reach the end of the summer. So thanks for joining us this week, and reach out if you have questions or concerns about something that's coming up in your life, whether it's in our Facebook or just messaging us on Instagram. Don't forget to follow us. But until next time, wake up and dream.